Hello and welcome to the Green Team of the Legendarium's Edan series by Philip Chase. I am Hurinfan and I'm joined today by Dusty
Hello.
and Ashman.
Hi, everybody.
Today we'll be discussing Book 2 of the Edan Trilogy, The Prophet of Edan. We'll give a very brief non-spoiler thoughts, but as it's Book 2, we'll probably mostly just talk spoilers. Shall we start with you, Dusty? What do you think?
Okay, a lot more than the first one. So I really enjoyed it. I was gonna put like even in my review, which I'll finally get to about for the first one, like read this one, just one of those openers, and the second one's really good. That's my thought.
Ash?
Yeah, it's better than the first one. I liked the first one a fair bit. I a lot of the problems I have with the first one, I still have with this, but it's better. It's a very good second book in the series. It doesn't fall into the middle book trap. Um, I really like where he's going by the end, and there was like some pretty heart-wrenching scenes in this. I was surprised by how emotionally invested I was in some of the events that took place. Um, and there's great journeys for all the characters. The journeys all make sense. The new characters and factions are all interesting. I found. I thought the politics was a bit lacking, and the battle scene sort of. I get the sense he's never interested in military strategy, and writing that. Uh, but even so, I would have liked like a little bit more on that end to kind of justify where the things were moving. But overall, yeah, like really solid, really solid. I'm very interested to see where the third book is going. I'm very interested to see what Philip Chase himself is writing after this as well.
Well, yeah, well put.
Yeah, if anyone read the first book and liked it even a little bit, like this is a slam dunk, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I was about to say something similar. And like if you read the first one and you thought it was good, but you're not sure if you want to continue, I would highly recommend you continue because if anyone listened to the last episode, they'll know that I quite enjoyed the first one. I enjoyed this one a lot more. Um, and like I said in book one, I had a few nitpicks about some of the prose stylings. And this one, almost all of those completely went away. I got invested in characters that I didn't expect to get
Mm-hmm.
invested in. Um, I was very interested in all the storylines. The fighting, which usually is something I could give or take, was just as interesting as the first book, if not more, because dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I really like this book. I don't know what else to say.
Oh, he really comes out of the gate swinging in the beginning. Like if people have issues with staying motivated to read the entire time, I think this book does an excellent job of keeping up like a high sense of action and tension throughout.
I also say that any readers, like Ash said, this doesn't have a middle book syndrome, in part because it's very unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'll be surprised if any readers are like, oh, yeah, this is just exactly what I expected. But we'll save that talk for spoilers, I suppose. Any other thoughts before we start?
Starting the spoilers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I guess
Okay.
special shout out to Day Raven's journey.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was quite good.
All right, spoilers time. Yeah, let's talk about Dayraven because he toward the end of the first book he started to get a little more interesting to me, but he was still probably my least favorite, maybe other than Gnorn and Hluck. He was like my least favorite. I guess no, Dayraven started out strong, but it just kept going in the same in book one. I thought, but this one, like, I was totally into his character journey.
Mm-hmm.
His were my favorite sections to get into, especially after I guess he reached enlightenment underneath the oak tree, not the
Mm-hmm.
fig tree, by the way. But uh, the Buddha parallels were very. If anybody missed it in book one, there's absolutely no idea you can miss it in this one. I'd say,
Mm-hmm.
unless you've just never
Yes.
heard of Buddha. But in the first book, again, like the elf shard sections were beautifully written, and they're very ethereal, and it kind of felt connected to the universe and everything around you. And in this book, it takes that and, like, I don't know, pumps it up to 11,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just a joy to read. Um, like I said earlier, my I really praised his prose stylings in the first book, even though I had quite a few uh, like nitpicks, I suppose. I don't know if I just got over that, or other than the section at the beginning of chapter 3, like I adored his prose style. Um, whether it be visceral fighting and or the magic, or even just the character interactions in the dialogue, or the barbarians who were a joy to read most of the time. I really, really enjoyed just the way he wrote it.
Hmm. Yeah, I was on record really liking his prose in the first book, and as you said, it just gets better. The scene with the elf was probably my favorite of the book. Once again, I'm really curious as to, like, if we're ever gonna have like a conversation with an elf in this series. I would really like to get more of that, but maybe this is not the type of thing. Like, he definitely doesn't ruin the elves in this, which I think is also a concern. You know, if like you could take away the mystique or the aura of unknowability about the elves, and
So you're saying
he
that maybe he's
maintains it
gonna
beautifully.
like he might like pass out and then be kind of in this like maybe dead, maybe still alive thing, and he has a conversation with the elf, and he's like, "Oh, this is how everything happened exactly." You're not hoping
Oh,
for something like that?
I am not. That doesn't sound good. That sounds horrible. Um, oh yeah, Dave Green, he basically dies at the end, right? That's quite a hard turn to take for the character. I loved it.
Is it? Does
You know, he
does
just
he?
he loses his entire self, and then all of his memories are gone, and he wakes up next to a river. Right? That's dead, essentially, by almost every definition of personal identity. He's gone. Like, the only way that you can have it still is like if you're a soul person. If you're a soul person, then he can still be alive. But I think even then you have to acknowledge that, like, this Day Raven is not the same as Day Raven of like a couple chapters ago, right? Like, if someone loses all their memories, they're a very different person, right?
Well, he's a very different person anyway.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Dude's gone on a hell of a journey from being slightly naive, kind of story-loving little boy to Buddha and Jesus at the same time, to no identity.
I don't know. Did Buddha and Jesus ever have a dragon on their side? No, they didn't. So he's
That's
cooler
part
than
of the
both.
Gospels that the Catholic Church didn't want you to know about.
They left those out, or they're caught
Yeah,
translation.
the Gospel of Draconis.
Oh, I would read that. I would convert again for that.
Speaking of dragons, they were cool. They were fun to read about. It came out like swinging chapter 1, dragons, fighting dragons. Damn it, what's David's friend? Imhar. Imhar gets like a silver hand and he's got the cool
Hmm.
nickname. I don't know why. I don't know if that's going to be important, but it sounds important and interesting and mysterious.
It's a magic. It sucks up magic or whatever. It's what's it called? Didn't they talk about that a little bit in there?
Ototaro?
Yeah, like Odotarl. Yes.
Well, it was cool. Um, and I really enjoyed the fact. So we learned it just. Philip gives us a good sense of how powerful Bloodla is, based on the control he has over the dragons. And then we're given
Hmm.
Sequara's POV, and she can't break through. I really like those early scenes with Sequara too, because you know, I had no idea if she actually was ever going to, I don't know, break through, maybe get one. That's what's something I really liked about this book, is I had no idea what was going to happen. Like, I had an idea, like, oh, they're going to invade here, and then this is going to happen, because just based on past stories and stuff. But yeah, Philip did great. Dragons are cool. Oh, what was the big dragon's name? I forgot her name.
Oh, Mother of
No.
Dragons, what's her face? Ice.
I'll call her TM. So yeah, he has to like break through TM's guards, and like it's cool. I was very, very satisfied with, especially his journey there with the people of, I forgot the country. I finished this a couple weeks ago. I forgot a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
their names.
Me
it's been a
too.
while for all of us. Um, yeah, the confrontation with the dragon, that was excellent. It was so good. Um, okay, so I don't know what stories in Old English or Norse have like started the hero must have a conversation with dragon. I definitely know it wasn't Tolkien who started it, right? It was done phenomenally here. It's the dragons were an excellent mix of like the animalistic primal thing and the wisdom of nature, and yeah, it reminded me of like reading Wizard of Earthsea and The Hobbit, and didn't feel derivative of either to me. Is fresh and yet familiar. Good job, Philip, with that.
Mm. I will also say that it reminds me of the dragons in Elderlings.
Hmm.
But yeah, his conversation actually reminded me a lot of what's his name in Earthsea?
Ged?
Good.
No, his not so intimate name. I don't like
Sparrowhawk.
Oh,
to
Sparrowhawk.
Sparrowhawk. Thank you. I don't like to call him the GED word.
You don't like
Oh,
to use his real name.
the actually the part of the scene that I liked the most was when he Dayraven was reciting all the names that he had earned. I love that stuff in these kinds of tales because in a lot of fantasy it's just kind of like people have names and it's not real, there's not really any importance subscribed to it. Like you really kind of feel the weight, and like he earned each one of these. And
It was reminiscent of the Smaug scene when Bilbo was talking in riddles.
yes, yes. Although yeah, again, that's definitely not something that Tolkien invented, right?
Uh, that's another thing I wanted to point out. The Tolkien parallels are a lot more obvious in this one as well.
I think they're not Tolkien. Okay, I think calling them parallels is good because like they're both like both Tolkien and Chase are getting these from like much older sources, right? So
I was thinking
like
more
mhm.
specifically when I said that I was thinking of the relationship between Gnorn and the Theoth, uh,
Orvindil.
A th-
Orvindil. Yeah, like oh,
yeah,
Gnorn's the dwarf,
yes,
and
yeah, sort of.
Theoth.
Although Orvandil is definitely not Legolas.
Mm-mm.
Well, he's kind of a prince, and
Not, think you're. I think it's. I would be a reach.
they
Like I
have
would call.
a history of animosity between their peoples, and they have a very brotherly bond by the beginning point. Actually,
I think if
Mm,
Orvandil is anybody from the Fellowship, it would be Boromir.
yeah,
Yeah, I
I could
could
see
see
that.
that.
But dwarves don't have a history of animosity with the Gondorians.
That's true.
I'm just saying the development of their relationship was very reminiscent of Gimli and Legolas from Lord of the Rings to me.
Yes. Yes.
Hmm. Totally was.
Yorman continues to be really awesome. I can't wait to see what he does next book.
Yep. I loved his setup at the end. What does he have? Like, does he have gunpowder? I imagine he has something like gunpowder.
Probably.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gonna advance technology here.
Hmm.
I wish he was in the book more though, 'cause mostly it's just him like he. I have my own plans. I'm not very good. Uh, I'm going to make. I'm gonna take away a bloodless power and make backward deals with the worst guy ever.
He
But yeah,
does
the
have
end was
that.
great.
He does have that scene with the Wildlanders. Well, I don't remember their names. Sorry, but when
Right,
he.
right. The barbarians.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the weaker scenes in the book.
Really?
Honestly, yeah, yeah. When he's convincing them,
Hmm.
it didn't quite sell me. I thought it could be, I thought it could be done better.
You didn't think calling down fire from heaven in the tent in the middle of everyone would convince them enough?
Like, it felt too easy.
Hmm. Okay, I could see that.
No, I was gonna say the Joraman with the savages. What were they? But he had that air the whole time of, oh, you're just savages. I'm so much better than you, which I understand. If for the times it makes lots of sense, but sometimes I just get a little tired of it, listening to this character be really bigoted.
Hmm. Yeah, and then just kind of getting rewarded for it. Like
Yeah.
he's totally proven. Oh, he thinks he's proven correct at the end. Like, and there's nothing in this book, I think, that suggests that they are anything other than savages, except for like maybe the leader actually has some tricks up his sleeve. He's more wily than it seems. The deal that they made was pretty horrible. Like, they didn't
Oh
get
yes.
anything out of it. Yeah, they didn't get anything out of it at all, basically. So
They
I
didn't
was just
lose
kind of
that
left
much
like,
either, though, right? Um,
well,
The only
So
thing they had to do was allow priests there, and they had to fight, which they were planning on doing anyway.
Mm.
yeah, but like the the priests of the Jormunganders,
Mm.
they were Torlenders. The Torlenders were gonna
Mm.
get all of the land basically, right? And the people from the Wildlands could settle in some of the cities, but those cities would still be ruled by Torland. So they weren't getting any land in the end out of the deal, even though they're conquering like half this kingdom themselves.
Mm.
And
What
plus like
I think that's going
the
to be a big part of the next book.
I agree. Um I
Yes.
will be disappointed if like we don't get any scene from like the leader, what's his face, where he's like, ah, yes, I knew you guys are jerks the entire time. I've been planning to betray you from the beginning or whatever.
I agree. He definitely seems a lot more smart, and he also a little more mysterious compared to the other guys. Because from Moonzill's perspective,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I hated the beginning of his introduction. But after we actually get in his POV instead of being narrated to about him, uh, it was really interesting. I think, um, and I like being around the barbarians. I think Philip understands barbarians and what makes them fun,
Hmm.
and seeing them fight and screw and I don't know, just the things that they value, honor, uh, prowess. It was cool. I forgot
Yeah,
I was going with that.
I liked how there was both Vikings and Germanic people in this, and the Joths. I don't know. They're clearly like Viking analogs, and
Mm-hmm.
these people are clearly Germanic peoples, and yet they still worship like the same similar gods. Uh, Nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Erkenwald continues to be the worst person ever.
So horrible.
Like
Not
everyone else, this
unbelievably so, but definitely like on the
uh,
extreme end.
the scene where he kills his wife was terrifying.
Oh my God.
Yep.
The beginning, like I'm like, oh, he's actually kind of being nice to her, and like compared to the first book at least.
Yeah.
And then like he just snaps, and it didn't feel unbelievable at all, but
Mm-mm.
just writing from his perspective of suffocating the life from this woman, and then just his reaction afterwards was really chilling to me.
Yeah. Did you get from that, that scene about like what they did in what's Sakara's homeland?
Astrolad.
Yeah, PTSD kind of vibes, like maybe he enjoyed it, but like also it's like kind of weighing like his brain's like this isn't stuff we're supposed to do.
Yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit. Yeah,
absolutely. Astrolad, by the way, being the great tragedy of the book, I was so sad when they like
it's such a
it's kind of like wiped off the face of the map now.
it's a very
Yep.
interesting land and city. I don't know, I just like the idea of a merit based aristocracy, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
and Queen Faldira is really cool.
Hmm.
It's a shame she went out so early.
and you could feel the pain in Sequara after it happened, and just how important it was to save it. And I didn't know if it was going to go down or not. I'm glad it did, because it's more interesting that way.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was very very well written.
Well, not even just Queen Faldira. The name of the guy who fought over in it's not Kerguelen
He
Hmm.
was
and
cool. Yeah, he was fighting with Sequara in
Aden
the land just north of Astrolad.
Adenadon. What was the name?
Adnan.
Right, because yeah, Abaddon. Just like he's over there helping out and like still doing things from Astrolod, and you can really see through him and through the others of the society of like you're talking about how meritocratic it was of like, you know what, it didn't go the way I
Hmm.
wanted, but like we're still here to do something. We have a job, and this is important work. And he was like with it, and I was like, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, I really
Yes.
like the conversation between him and Sequara about their history and about their land. Their land is just
Hmm.
cool. Like I really liked being there. Obviously, it kind of felt like an
Hmm.
India or Nepal with lots of vibrant colors and lots of people.
Hmm. And well, it's not a hugely populated island, right? There was just like one city on there.
Yeah, the city felt
Hmm.
Uh,
like that at least.
and the scene where they're trying out the food for the first time.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a super sophisticated scene. Still love seeing it. Yet too spicy. All these weird things. Yeah.
I said this in the DMs, and I really feel like I need to point it out. Philip Chase understands language.
Hmm.
Like I've
Mm,
complained on like Malazan episodes or like any other book where language is not something that the author considers. I mean, obviously they consider it because they're writing in English about English, but they don't consider second languages and third languages and how to acquire languages and how to communicate across multiple languages.
mm,
Uh, Philip Chase knows multiple languages. I'm fairly certain. I think he said he's studied Old English and Welsh and maybe Old Germanic or something.
Yeah, he knows Old English for sure, and he lived in India for a while, didn't he?
Nepal, I think.
Okay,
Um,
Nepal.
he probably speaks some. I don't. What language do they speak in Nepal?
that's a good question.
I don't know. I don't know either.
Nepalese.
Um, but yeah, he it's something that I could tell that he's very conscious about. When there have people speaking multiple languages, and we get the POV of somebody who doesn't understand, you're always getting the the information secondhand instead of just getting it, translated it to us immediately. And when he's learning old Aramaic, High
Oh,
Aramaic or
yeah.
something, the old important Latin language. Endemagma, it sounds right. Uh, and he's kind of a savant, and he could learn it, but the effort it takes, and like they're talking about certain aspects of language that are very important and very difficult to grasp for second language learners. Like I don't remember what it was specifically, but like
The
maybe
honorifics.
pronouns,
Yes, the
honorifics. Yes,
honorific.
thank you. The
Yeah.
Yeah.
honorifics. Honorifics are really difficult in your second language, and certain languages put a lot of emphasis on it, um, like Japanese.
Uh, Vietnamese does the same.
So thank you, Philip. This is exactly the kind of book that I was looking for people who really care about language and that kind of thing.
Hmm. Oh, okay.
Do
I
you want to
can't
talk about
tell.
Sequara and Dayraven?
Yeah.
I was surprised how much I cared. Like, in book one, I didn't think the relationship would go where it did go.
Hmm.
And at the beginning of book two, it's obvious that's exactly where it was going,
Yep.
considering. I mean, it's kind of looking back, it's kind of obvious on book one too because they kept. No. It was only this book. It's just this book is so long. They had that link from the end
Mm,
of book one, and they were constantly thinking of each other and constantly meeting eyes. And I don't know. I don't read a lot of romance, and I do like romance, but I was invested. So thank you, Philip. Felt real.
Yeah, it took me a bit to be sold on it. At the beginning, I was kind of worried that it would just be like, oh, this young hapless boy falls in love with the older woman, and why would she ever feel the same way for him? But he does sell it, I think, and it does make sense why Sakura would actually feel the same way towards Raven. And their scene when they finally have sex, that was a really good scene, actually. Just like they both go into it knowing, okay, this is gonna bring pain later. And the scene with Galdor actually before that was incredible. Yeah, they go into it with eyes open, and they're just like, okay, we're just gonna take this joy right now, and then it'll hurt later, and we both understand and recognize that, but it's worth it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for putting that into words because that's absolutely right. Because the tension's there. You could feel the tension. The reader can feel the tension. You could understand their tension because we've all been there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not to the same extent because she's a queen and she can't really have relationships, and he's the Messiah and all of this stuff. But I loved it,
and
and thank you,
memories.
Galdor, for being a bro. I think book one, I don't I wouldn't say I complain. Actually, I kind of like it that we didn't see about Galdor in book one, but it took a long time to get to Galdor.
Yes.
Hmm.
um, but I really liked him. Like like I said, he helped him with the bro stuff. I like his approach to the way of Edan. I'd say I kind of empathize with him
Mm,
or sympathize or whatever. I like his relationship with Adan.
Arna?
Arna,
Arna.
thank you. I just forget his
Yeah.
name. We were confirmed in our talk with Philip, but if we didn't talk to Philip and he didn't tell us, we would have been vindicated.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious, I think, right?
Hmm.
Some people seem to have missed it.
Interesting.
Um, what was Dayraven's great aunt's name? She died.
Erd.
Erd.
Erd. That was a great scene.
Yeah.
Were you sad, Ash?
Okay. Yeah, sort of. Erd didn't really have a lot to do this book,
She didn't.
unfortunately. She kind of just had the thing at the end, which I thought was a shame. I thought she could have maybe had some scenes teaching Dayraven, or maybe she could have helped out in Adnan a bit. Because it basically, before the fall of Astrolad, like all the characters except for Dayraven get sent to Adnan to kind of have some character work and do what they're gonna do. And a lot of it was really good, I thought. But yeah, Erd was she just kind of sat around, chilling. I guess fair. She's really old, but it would have been nice to see more from her before she died, because she did stand out so much in book one.
Also, just based upon like in book one, when she got ball sacks cells to like really interact with nature, I think Abaddon would have been perfect because like it was like hit and run warfare, like in the woods, in the nature, like that's kind of like that was kind of her element. So yeah, it would have made sense to kind of put her over there to stir some up.
Ballsack wasn't in this book. Just realized
Oh,
that.
that's so sad. We didn't get more Ballsack.
What was the most emotional moment for you?
Okay, most emotional. Okay, it was an Astrolad fell for me for sure, because it's just like, oh yes, all those people are getting murdered, raped, and tortured to death. Beyond that, and Queen Faldira dies, and it's just a lot of people die, and this beautiful civilization is kind of just like ground under the heel of these awful crusaders. Beyond that, probably when Dayraven kind of like loses himself into the Elf Shard.
That was fantastic, and I also got emotional. But two other points actually stand above that for me. Number two being when Arna sacrifices himself for Galdor. I know we didn't get a lot of page time with either of them, but it was just really impactful, especially really at the climax of the novel. And the most was when Orphantal kills Dayraven's dad.
Oof.
That was really good.
Yeah.
That was really, really good.
Like, yeah, that killed me. It was just such a tragedy. It didn't need to happen.
I don't know.
Jesse?
On emotional moments, I don't know. You guys mentioned some stuff that was definitely emotional. Instead of like that stuff, I find myself remembering more of the parts sometimes that made me angry. Like, uh, man, I just called him Denethor, but the king of the last place that they were defending, who was all like, "I'm the best, I'm so cool," and
Siltarin.
then
That guy was
yeah,
frustrating.
yeah, he was like a Denethor thing to me. So,
Yeah, he gave real Denethor vibes.
mhm.
I really like what was happening in that kingdom, especially when Sequara and Galdor come like, your slaves are about to revolt. Like, no, never. That's never gonna happen. They're just stupid barbarians. They could never. And then like it's obvious. And then that battle, it was like kind of satisfying to see all of the people of that kingdom getting killed by your slaves from the back, even though I'm also rooting for them. It's like, oh, I don't want the Torlanders to win, but I mean, they did get killed by their slaves, which is kind of satisfying.
The most frustrating part of him for me was he was so confident, and then he loses one battle, and he's like, "Well, all hope is lost. No, we have to give up immediately." It's like, come on, dude. Like, it makes sense. The character makes sense. Like there's a lot of people who have like really brittle confidence that's like vastly overstated. But still,
It
like
was a big loss though.
it was
Like
absolutely.
it was a hell of a loss. They had this wall separating them from the Northern Kingdom,
Yeah.
and it's never fallen for like hundreds of years, right? Like they put all of their faith into this wall, and it's been unshakable for that long, and suddenly it falls due to their own,
Yes.
partially due to their hubris.
So that part was probably the part I thought of the most when I thought like I'm kind of unconvinced of like the military maneuverings of this,
I
because
agree, because
yeah, it happens so quickly.
I can't. I know they're focusing all their attention on the people coming from the north, but there's absolutely no way they couldn't notice this band of slave warriors coming from behind them secretly. That's what I didn't buy.
Or like that they wouldn't have like anybody that could deal with a band of probably poorly equipped slaves, right? Probably poorly equipped, probably not, probably like severely malnourished, right?
But
Yeah.
again, it really, I don't know, it works for me because the hubris aspect of like, I think of things like World War II when France was so ready for Germany to reinvade, and then Germany just went through and did it the same way that they did it in World War One and completely crushed France. Like, just one of those things to prepare. And so they build up enough that they're like, we're good forever. And somebody thinks of something else that's overwhelmingly the simplest option. I mean, they didn't even need the slaves behind them because I mean, they finally united the tribes. There were so many of them that there would have been a moment where the wall would have gotten overwhelmed anyways, in my thought. So
That's probably true. Yeah.
I don't think they were not malnourished or under equipped though. Because
How would they not be, right? Because they sure they killed their owners and they've been roaming around and stealing stuff. But
well,
even
owners who own
so,
slaves are going to be quite rich, right? The only thing they do is kill the owners, steal all their stuff, usually on farms, because that's pretty usually where they'll be working, and just gather it in bands here and there.
yeah.
yeah, but like even if you look at like the servile revolts in Rome, most of the time the slave armies weren't like very well equipped. Like a lot of times they were winning significant battles against the legions and taking what stuff they could, but it's still not like they're a group of well-trained soldiers and they don't have like a supply train or anything like that.
I liked the aspect of that Bledlow was talking about. We have these priests who've gone insane essentially because they were in these mines when they died or when they got ripped away from them.
Yeah, that was cool.
Hmm.
And great way of having the metaphor of like war just grinds you down, right? Even if you're on
Hmm.
the winning side. Yeah, he did a great job of showing the toll that war takes on everybody, I think. And like,
Yeah, and not
mhm.
forgetting that casualties aren't just dead, it's also everybody else that's been in the war.
Yes, absolutely.
What do you think about the next? What's going to happen next? Because this is basically how I thought book 3 would end,
Yep.
Yeah, same.
and so I think the next book is going to be basically Chase's take on the Scouring of the Shire, and that uh, everything is going to be the aftermath of everything, and
Mm,
maybe recovering from war, and maybe power vacuums or revenge or something. I don't know, but I'm
definitely
excited
revenge.
to read about it.
That's actually one thing I know that it makes more sense this way, but Dave Raven should have had Erkenwald get eaten. There's just
If only.
no.
That would have been satisfying.
My bets for the next book. So I don't think Scouring the Shire is probably the right analog because what's going to happen is much bigger than the tiny world that the Shire is, and it's going to happen with all the characters that we have left, not just the small band of misfits that we start out with.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, so revenge, um, the supplanting of true faith with the cynical realpolitik of Joroman and Erkenwald, the underestimating of your foes, thinking that they're beaten, thinking that things are resolved when they're clearly not. So with the barbarians and with the Torlanders again. The struggle to rebuild after losing things, especially in Astrolad, and
Mhm.
Dayraven struggling to find himself again, and probably find a reason to fight again. Maybe without the Elf Shard, because I get the sense the Elf Shard was kind of put in him to preserve the balance of the world in a way that Bledlow was kind of uniquely threatening because of all the genocide. um,
Yeah.
and yeah, it'll be like a confusing kind of mess of things that are happening. Um, so yeah, very heartening that this was not Empire Strikes Back. It was The Last Jedi.
Yes.
All right. Shall any last thoughts
That's fun.
or anything we've forgotten to talk about?
I am excited for our chat with Philip about this.
Yeah.
Won't be for a while though.
It won't be for a while, but I think it will take a while. I think there's a lot that we could talk about with them. Obviously, since we talked to them a long time last time as well.
All right. Shall I?
Yeah.
That has been the Legendarium Green Team's Prophet of Edan episode. If you want to join us, I don't know, just Google us because I don't have the script written out right now. Thanks for listening. Until next time. Bye.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.
Today we'll be discussing why Little Women is not a Christmas movie. Oh, shall we start with you, Dusty? What'd you think?
Yeah, hold on. I gotta get back on the Little Women thing. No, that really threw me off for a minute. But okay, pause.
Little Woman is not a Christmas movie.
Listen. By the standards set out by, I guess, a lot of people in Legendarium server, it's got a Christmas scene in it, right? And
It was a Christmas movie.
it has a family in it. That makes it a Christmas movie. Apparently,
Hey,
I was informed you don't even need the family. You can just have a Christmas anywhere in it for any amount of time, and it's a Christmas movie.
Does that make
That's just wrong.
is ever with a Christmas episode a Christmas TV show?
Yes.
So I've been informed.
Yes. Yeah. And that's why it's a stupid standard.
Yeah, it makes almost as much sense as
Wow.
Die Hard being a Christmas movie.
But Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
Mm.
I mean, we have to kill the bad guys by, getting Christmas spirit. The whole thing is only there. Never mind. This is not a Christmas movie, Die Hard podcast. Probably just put this at the end.